Welcome, boys and girls. Costin here with Imrik, Prince Imrik of Dragonstone in Total War Warhammer 3, or rather, as you could call him, the Dragon Prince in the game. And his campaign can give a good amount of people some trouble in how to handle it, and that's why I'm doing this specific video. You get extra campaign movement range, you're immune to mountain and desert attrition for his army, and you get upkeep for dragons and dragon princes. And you also start with a dragon and dragon princes. As you level up, you want to get Root Marcher, Dragon Horn, Bowmaster, just because you're going to want to buff these units. But how will you want to approach your campaign situation? Well, that is where things get a bit interesting. Because you can go down so many different paths in a campaign, it's not even funny. You can use the load save character system to get a Lord with Frugal, but let's assume you're the kind of person that doesn't want to go down that path. Well, in that respect, you can always use a bit of influence, 10 influence, to get a noble with a decent enough trait and get some recruit rank for your units. You also want to get cultural advancements and Waystone network for the extra campaign movement range. Heralds of Civilization does not matter. Then, once you're done with that, you want to get archery prowess or light Ephemer armor. Light Ephemer might be more useful considering what we are going to be dealing with over here in this campaign. You also want to get extra recruit rank for all your units, and also get rid of the barracks and the noble building chain, the Elven Gardens, in your main settlement. We will be getting a rebellion, but that is not really too big of an issue. This campaign, for the record, is being recorded on Legendary Very Hard with AI stats modifier set to neutral. The only mod that I have enabled right here is actually Toggle Flag of War, just for me to explain and showcase the map. When you are playing this campaign, it is easy enough to fall into the trap of thinking you need to go north. But going north is actually a huge waste of time, resources, and energy. You can do so, absolutely, if you're willing to fight both Drazov and Tretch at the same time. But what if we don't go north? What if we choose something else entirely in this campaign? What if we go west? I mean, I suppose it makes sense when you think about it, really, from a campaign perspective. If you're going to be playing a campaign like Imrik, you might as well get good at dealing with it. The Dark Elves there will be taking the Fortress of Vorak, but that is not really a relevant. Because even if you fight the battle there manually against that rebellion, they're not going to be able to win. And an emergency recruitment of a lord just before they attack would definitely tip the scales in your favor. So instead, here's what we are going to do. And you want to fight the initial battles and take as few casualties as possible. See, Imrik starts at war with the dwarves, and since we do start at war with the dwarves, I figure, why not make that the campaign objective of this campaign? Make sure you are using your items, make sure you're collecting everything right there in style, and make sure you're picking a fight with Kazador, because that is actually going to be rather important here. Again, this is just a path. It's not the only path. You can choose some fancy tech bullshit if you are so eager for that, but this is the path that I personally find works really good for Imrik in a campaign in order to get the ball rolling. And as I said, the Dark Elves did attack, the Dark Elves failed, and we are now in a situation, and we got a bit of extra influence as well, because why not? Funny how that works. No auto-resolve mod enabled, legendary, so highest level of auto-resolve difficulty. Alright, so decision time is going to happen next turn, right here. We could try a direct assault on Karak-Azul. That is an option. It could work very well, in fact. But it does come with certain complications, which is that you need to defeat Kazador's entire army directly. And fighting Kazador directly, it's a winnable fight on any difficulty, but when you've got this much on the line and you need to sort this out very well, it's prudent to not be a fool about it. So we can set up a lovely little trap over here for Kazador that we can take advantage of. One of the things we may want to do, one of the things you may invest in, is spending some of that lovely, sweet influence to get an Archmage hero, an Archmage Lord, in order to start winning your campaign here. Kazador is predictable in respect to that, in terms of what he will do. And the reason we also want this element is because we want to get the return of the prince sorted out properly. So bear that one aspect in mind as you're doing this. You may also want to get greater invocation of Vol for the kind of benefits it provides. Different options, different choices. You can go with Staff of Solidarity, you can get the Blade of Sea Gold. I'm gonna go for the Blade of Sea Gold because I'm going to give it on my Noble. And now Imrik has a higher level, and we got the Burning Head. We got replenished troops. We can even do further replenishment of units. But keep in mind border here, because that border is the vital link right here that allows you to deal with Kazador effectively. Because if you try and fight him directly, you may win. You're also not going to achieve your settlement quota if you do it like that. So instead, we lay an ambush. Now look, this ambush may succeed and may fail. It's not really important what ends up occurring right here, by the way. What is actually important is that you don't screw this up. Now, if you feel the need to adjust things any further, you can always pull a bit back and let him come towards you here. Let's see what Kazador ends up doing right here, because you might need some adjustment. You do want to fight him in the open. Invocation of All is great, but you know what's even better? Taking care of Kazul from under the Bastard one when he's not there. You could, of course, wait for him to end up in a fight against Queek, or you can succeed in an ambush like him, like this, where you do not even need to fight him directly. The ambush success is randomized, but you know what? If you're not playing on Iron Man, you could always try a couple of times until you get the ambush. But let's go into the battle. When you're dealing with the Dwarven army of this kind of nature, it's pretty damn important that you target the weak links and you ensure that you're not wasting your ammunition and resources on things that do not matter. In this case, the layout is very well suited for what we are about to do, which is hit him hard, hit him fast, hit him decisive on the parts of his army that do count, which is his artillery, ranged units. And when you do ambush someone, you do get that kind of benefit of a shock. And even if he gets away here, so what? His artillery train is broken. He might withdraw. But we've dealt a severe blow that he will not easily recover from in that circumstance. Like, it's only been 2 units, but it is severe enough that he's not just going to be able to walk away from that one. Or I could have just taken, like, if you ambush an enemy and you get the decisive victory, is more important than believing that you can win otherwise. But right now, very fun indeed, very fun aspect indeed. We can take Kazador from him, and he's got nothing, 0, zilch. That he can do against us. For the sake of demonstration purposes, however, I will be fighting this battle. I know, I am literally making my job, my life a bit harder for you for the sake of this video. Right here, we're going to control large armies. Because, yes, I could have just auto-resolved and dealt with this very easily, very effectively. The nice benefit, though, of doing this particular strategy is that it allows me to, deal a knockout blow to one of his crucial armies right here. Remember, we still have Greater Invocation of All. So much for the Dragonslayer. And fighting as many battles as we are right here is actually to our significant benefit. Because we get to get more experience from that. Maybe more items even. See, sometimes fighting a battle is not really so much about the fact that you can't do things better in auto-resolve. You can almost definitely do better things in auto-resolve, ambushes, all that good stuff. But sometimes you just gotta pick the fights, win set fights, in order to achieve the greatest level of success. Alright, so now we got those dragon princes coming in there. Our secondary lord. And remember, there's still a ton of reinforcements, enemy reinforcements that are coming in, so we gotta be mindful of those as well. But so much for the Dragonslayer and his ilk is what I can say. They've taken, like, Imrik's real strength, believe it or not, is not in the archers, high elven units, or anything like that. Imrik's real strength is in terror. Seriously, he makes Alethanar seem gentle sometimes. Because he causes so much terror in enemy armies by just existing. And that dragon horn is not a not a small thing either. So if we kill Kazador, the battle is quote-unquote won. And now we speed it up. Because we do have other things to worry about right here. But yeah, kill their leaders, things will fall apart very quickly. As you can see, Kazador is just on the verge of death. And while some of our guys have definitely taken a bit of damage right there, most of them have not. And there's still some quarrelers left. We may lose our dragon, but that doesn't matter. That's a lot of stunties. Or when all else fails, just send archers into the melee. And there we go. Complete victory. And now make sure you pursue and annihilate as many as you can, because if you don't, you'll be forced to deal with the remainder yourself. Especially when we're talking about the ranged units. Though, bear in mind, we will be able to get some casualty replenishment, winds of magic, all that good stuff. But yeah, that's how you defeat Kazador. Or you could have taken, or I would recommend taking the auto-resolve ambush success. So what happens now? Well, we've won our war against Karakazul. It's just a question of cleanup right at this point. Sorting some remains. Having the advantage in auto-resolve versus dwarves. Don't see that every day. And we can go even further. But just make sure you're not wasting resources on shit that does not actually matter. Research-wise, well, we can get trumpeters or we can get archery prowess. I think I'm gonna go for archery prowess. The campaign movement range is what actually has any degree of relevancy. He's willing to surrender. That's almost farcical as a notion. Because we're not accepting surrenders. I feel strange to push this hard against dwarves, but it is a vital point to make. The dwarves... Kazador is a nuisance. You might think he's protecting you, though, against Queek. He ain't protecting against anything. And he also provides you the easiest and cleanest example of how to achieve your campaign goals in a good, solid fashion. Now, of course, once you do deal with everything else around here, you might be tempted to accept a peace treaty. Don't. Because remember, our goal is to ultimately deal with Tretch. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, that is one of your victory conditions to deal with Tretch. Not Drazeth, Tretch. Not Queek, Tretch. So remember that if you have any kind of doubts whatsoever about how this is going to unfold. I mean, you could ally the dwarves, you could ally Forgrim to repay your debt to Dwarven society, if you consider it a debt. You could, for instance, go deal with Queek. And now we can get Kazador back. Which, by the way, was the entire purpose of this little adventure. Getting Kazador before Noctilus can actually sort things out. Because we do want that. Oh, do we want that? It's not because Kazador itself is so significant. It is not. Although, it has its tangible benefits, if you will. And we do get a quest battle. We do be building stuff. And as for... and with Kazador, we get vision. With different factions, trade agreements, with elven factions. That we do require. We also, because of the the vision that we have gained due to cafe and caravans and all that, we are now in a strong position to get the Desolation of Nagash, for instance. Oh yes. Oh, yes. We could take Caracade Peaks, make a deal with the Rodent. We could go for the Desolation of Nagash and get it as a high-level settlement. We have so many different options, it ain't even remotely funny. Personally, for my part, I believe that what I will do is get some bolt throwers. And go dragon hunting. That sounds like a pretty clear-cut good idea if you're playing this campaign. We could also go for Caracade Peaks. Or we could try and fight our way in Ulthuan. The decision after this point is really up to you. It's your decision. You will have something similar, maybe Tretch moves even faster. Usually, though, what tends to happen... Politely decline, thank you very much, I'm not anyone's little rodent. But usually, though, what tends to happen in these kind of situations is like... It does vary greatly, depending on what you've been dealing with. Your quest objectives do vary a lot. You can get the Armor of Kazador if you want the Armor of Kazador. You can go fight that quest battle if that's your jam. You can decide to do whatever you want. And you also even have all of these wonderful little seats available in your campaign at this point. You do need patronage, though, so that's where it does matter from this point onward, once you do have Kazador, to choose differently. That is consequential. But this is just the start, a beginning, 12 turns, just a good groundwork for how to get a handle on things, sort your stuff out, deal with these things, maybe even avoid a war with Queek. If you want to. That's your decision. Or I could have just gone for this element right here to avoid giving him any excuses, right? Decisions exist. You bring 2 stacks of forces, you can take Nagashazar. Or you can ignore Nagashazar. Sell the territory here to Queek, or at least one of the territory. Keep on Bitter Bay. Sell this with the barracks to Queek, so he leaves you the hell alone. For instance. You will get a rebellion there, but it's not really going to be a consequential rebellion. And you can just go for Nazar Nagrun. The decision is yours. What you want to do with that, up to you. I've just given a path. Once you're in this kind of position, the most obvious outcome really is going after Tretch, destroying Tretch, maybe making some kind of deal with Drazov, all that, marching on Zarnagrund, or just dealing with Drazov and Tretch in a prime position to do so. Though bear in mind the western flank, bear in mind the situation over here in Ulfwan, bear in mind Noctilus, and so on and so forth. They're not gonna just fold in front of you and give up that easily. But we have friends in high places, and those friends can provide us much needed backup, like getting Tyrion to do things. That's all. Costin signing out.